She took my $50,000 and lost her house. Brunch is where my family does moral accounting with syrup. Family emergency, my mother said, sliding loan papers over a sticky menu. My dad added, "You've always been the responsible one," as if that were a blessing and not a trap. The number on top, 50,000. The garnish, my sister's house, quietly pledged as collateral, pay now or she loses everything, and if I don't, I'm the villain. I read fast, signed faster, and made sure the paper trail could sing in court. Lien assignment to me. Dates. Consequences. 48 hours later, she posted first-class boarding passes to Bali. Family roles in the ask. Let me set the table. I'm the older sister with CFO energy and a spreadsheet for every emotion. My calendar has color codes for joy, dread, and don't answer that call. My sister? The golden child with a ring light, an affiliate link, and a crossbody bag of main character syndrome. My parents? Well-meaning chaos wearing matching blessed hoodies. Our family group chat is a political theater, diplomacy by emoji, alliances formed and broken over potluck assignments, an unspoken scoreboard of favors nobody wrote down and everybody remembers. The inciting incident arrived with my sister's ringtone, a cheerful little trill that should be labeled incoming storm. "I'm drowning," she said. No hello, just a gurgle. "Please." I messed up, but I have momentum. One big push. Momentum felt like code for Cliff. Before I could ask what, my phone chimed again, parental summons. Brunch? Important. Weaponized pancakes. I went because I'm the one who goes. At the table, Mom led with the story about how I once helped my sister with a science fair volcano, like lava equaled loyalty. Dad nodded toward the papers like a magician revealing a rabbit he also expected me to feed. "It's not that much," he said, as if 50,000 was a seasonal allergy. "She just needs a bridge." Bridges go over something. I wanted to know what chasm we were spanning. I asked for documents. Promissory note, collateral disclosure, repayment schedule. Mom blinked. Dad shuffled. "Do you have to make it so transactional?" "Yes. If money is involved, it's already transactional. I just prefer the version with receipts." I read the note. There it was, the house listed as collateral, tucked into the fine print like a rattlesnake in confetti. My stomach did that accountant flip. 2 parts dread, 1 part relief at finding the snake before it bit. I love my sister. I do not trust her. Those two truths sat across from each other, clinking glasses. I looked at my parents, who were ready to cry, and at my phone, waiting to light up with another crisis, and I made the decision I always make. I will help, but we will do this the right way. I told them I'd pay off the lender in full and take assignment of the lien. New promissory note to me, clear repayment terms, interest that says this is real. Default triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, 30. Mom looked wounded, like I'd asked her to wear sensible shoes. Dad muttered, "She'll pay you back." The optimism of a man who thinks Wi-Fi is a feeling. We called the original lender together on speaker. I confirmed the balance, the per diem interest, the procedure for an assignment. The voice on the other end perked up at the phrase, "wire today." Funny how quickly the world moves when money appears. I drafted my note. Dates bolded. Interest in 11-point font, because big girl numbers deserve tiny letters. A clause about fees. A clause about default. A clause about the house. My sister signed via e-sign with a heart in her signature. Of course she did. I sent the wire. Watching that number leave my account felt like donating a kidney to someone who thought apple juice cures surgery. Still, I breathed. Crisis contained, right? I imagined a quiet compliance. No new spending, no dramatic posts, just steady payments like a metronome. Then my phone began to vibrate like a wasp in a glass. Notification pings stacked into a tower of bad decisions. On her story, so grateful to announce my brand partnership Bali retreat. A boomerang of clinking coconuts. A geotag that translated to expensive view. First-class boarding passes, 2 names, hers and a photographer I recognized from the collab she did with a dog bakery. The caption, investing in my personal brand. You guys deserve the best. I felt my left eyelid twitch into a Morse code that spelled absolutely not. I texted, "Where did the funds go?" 3 dots, then a voice note. "Babe, this is the play. Network, content. Roy." I'm her sister, not a venture capitalist. I called. She answered from an airport lounge, audibly more leather than my living room. "You're my supportive investor," she chirped. My blood pressure filed a complaint. I told her clearly, calmly, that the note stands as written. Payments due on the 1st. Interest accrues. No additional funds. She promised the content would convert. I promised the calendar would, too. Mom called to say it's networking. Dad added exposure. I said, to what? Debts? They sounded so earnest, I wanted to hug them and change my number. Instead, I opened a new folder on my desktop, Sister Bali. Subfolders, receipts, communications, social posts, terms. Then I started building a file the way some people build ships in bottles. Delicate, fussy, and oddly soothing. If this was going to be a story, it would have chapters, citations, and footnotes. That was the day I remembered the family scoreboard isn't moral, it's math. And math, unlike people, doesn't negotiate with vibes. The immediate betrayal, Bali bomb. 2 days after The Wire, she posted a boarding pass like it cured cancer. Bali baby, first class, champagne flute, a filter labeled Wanderlust Pro that looked like an allergy to reality. I'm refreshing my banking app. She's refreshing her lip gloss. IDM, confirm the debt was paid. She hearts it, sends a sun emoji, then a screenshot of an itinerary, first-class seats, villa with an infinity pool longer than my patience, a line item called Creative Director, which is code for a photographer who only shoots at golden hour and invoices at midnight. I called her. She answered over the hiss of espresso and ambient envy. "You're going to love this," she sang. "This is my personal brand investment. I'm elevating." Elevating what? Her debt ceiling? "Did you pay the lender?" I asked. Pause. "So, funny thing," she said, which is never followed by a funny thing. "The Bali retreat was time sensitive. If I miss it, I miss my window." I stared at the receipts like they were a Rorschach test that spelled fraud. "Used my funds for a vacation," I said. "It's not a vacation, it's content," she said, which is exactly what vacation looks like when you don't pack a conscience. I hung up before my tone got spicy enough to require a Notes app apology. Then Mom called. "It's networking," she said, earnest as a church bake sale. "Exposure," Dad chimed in, as if exposure pays interest. Mom added, like she'd learned a new word and wanted to take it for a walk. "With whose money?" I asked. Silence, then Mom soft, "She'll pay you back." I could hear them clutching hope like a coupon that expired in 2009. Fine. I pivoted to systems. I screenshotted everything, boarding passes, villa tags, captions with grind misspelled. I saved her voice notes where she called me her supportive investor. I emailed her a friendly reminder of the repayment dates, bulleted civil with a line that said no further advances will be made. I dropped in a calendar invite titled Payment 1, complete with a confetti emoji because I'm a professional with a sense of humor. Then I built out the folder: contracts, social evidence, communications, travel expenses. It calmed me the way puzzles calm people who don't have a sister. The receipts started rolling like waves you can't outswim. A photographer retainer, half up front, half on delivery, which apparently meant whenever he felt like it. A villa prepay that could fund a small library. Sunrise drone permit, because influencers need paperwork to harass the sky. I color-coded personal versus business expenses. Personal included spiritual Wi-Fi, $900 to ensure the universe hears your upload. Business included coconut water listed as hydration strategy, which is a bold way to say juice. I called her again because I believe in documentation and second chances. Boundaries, I said. No additional funds. Payments stand. I'm tracking everything. She said, "I knew you'd understand," which is sister for "I'm not listening." Content converts, she chirped. "So do contracts," I replied. I hung up and wrote a memo to file about the conversation. Yes, I memo my family now. Therapy was right. We train people how to treat us. I started training myself. Parents kept parroting the deck. She needs this to get ahead, Mom said. Getting ahead of what? I asked. Reality? Dad tried. In her field, image is everything. In mine, I said, numbers are. I kept my voice soft. I'm not here to make them feel stupid. I'm here to not feel insane. Her stories from Bali were an accidental comedy special. So honored to be invited, she said, while tagging an event that accepts anyone with a pulse and a PayPal. The photographer did a behind the scenes where she told a cloud it was killing her vibe. The caption on her grid, grateful vibes only. My caption in my head, paid for by the vein in my forehead. I sent her a read receipt request with the loan terms attached again. She thumbs up the email like it was a meme. I logged the thumbs up. I logged everything. If she was going to turn my money into content, I was going to turn her content into evidence. She said ROI. I would deliver ROI, receipts of idiocy. Then came the sunrise shoot announcement, a 3:30 a.m. call time for unfiltered authenticity. She posted a prep list, silk dress, emergency ring light, gratitude journal. I added a line to my running notes, authenticity does not require silk. She promised her followers raw candids that would take only 15 minutes. The photographer replied in his story with, "We'll see," which is creative for, bring snacks. By day 3, her parents, our parents, were asking me to Venmo just a little for unexpected fees. I replied with a screenshot of the contract and a smiley face that could cut glass. In my head, I whispered to the universe, put everything in writing. Out loud, to my sister, I said one last time, no more money. Deadlines don't move. Interest doesn't blink. She sent me a selfie with a coconut and wrote, proud of us. I archived it under Delusions, subfolder teamwork. And as she hiked toward that cliff in the dark for her authentic sunrise, my spreadsheet filled with light. Not from Bali, from the glow of a paper trail sturdy enough to hold the weight of what was coming. Rising action, absurd receipts, and the paper trail. 3 hours after the sunrise tease, my inbox turned into a carnival. Subject line, urgent, drone flight extensions. Apparently the winds didn't respect content. The photographer attached a rate sheet with a line called Creative Flexibility Surcharge, which is a poetic way to say, bring cash. I filed it under vendor, photographer, questionable. Then the first masterpiece, a $900 charge labeled Spiritual Wi-Fi. I blinked. The memo read, ensures aligned connectivity for uploads. I forwarded it to myself with the subject, internet, but make it feelings, and tagged it personal, not business. My sister replied to my tag with 3 sparkles and abundance mindset, which does not convert to currency in any country. Next, a $1,200 coconut water license. The invoice logo was a coconut with sunglasses. The description said, permission to film and sip in designated refreshment zones. I wrote a note, hydration cannot be illegal. Also, who designated the zones? Poseidon? I emailed the vendor for clarification. They responded with a PDF titled Brand Hygiene, which included a paragraph about optics of premium electrolytes. I added a subfolder, Comedy. The villa sent a prepay update. The words non-refundable repeated like a chant. I color-coded it red because, are you kidding? Her creative director sent a retainer invoice with the line includes 5 maintenance. I circled it digitally and typed, not a real service. He responded with a palm tree emoji and an NDA I didn't sign. A local fixer emailed about sunrise drone permits. Price doubled because, quote, the sun is popular. I stared into the middle distance and remembered my parents once told me patience is a virtue. I prefer documentation. I called my sister again. Categorization matters, I said. Personal versus business. You cannot write off skincare as a production cost. She said, it's sunscreen. Here, for the crew. There are 2 of you, I said. Then it's bulk. I took a breath through my teeth and wrote, rejected. Meanwhile, my parents were wobbling like Bambi on ice. She needs this to get ahead, Mom said, rehearsed and brittle. With whose money? I asked, soft. Dad tried to compromise. Could you just float this round? It's only until the brand pays out. Which brand? I said. Silence, then Dad. The one with the coconuts? I told them I wasn't litigating via group chat. If they had documents, I had time. If they had vibes, I had chores. I started sending her polite reminders, pastel and deadly. Hi. Quick note that interest accrues daily. Please see the attached amortization schedule. I added a calendar invite with confetti and a caption, payday party. She heart reacted, then posted a story about delayed abundance due to Mercury. I screenshotted the heart, the story, and the planet. Vendor emails multiplied. The photographer wanted overtime for waiting on golden hour that never arrived. The villa wanted an additional deposit for content footprint on the tile, which is a new phrase my soul rejected. A sunset ceremony facilitator requested a rush fee because my sister DM'd at 2 a.m. asking for a vibe pivot. I made a new tag, emergency theater. She texted, "Don't stress, the ROI is already cooking." I replied with a PDF of the note, page 2 highlighted, payments due regardless of creative outcomes. She sent a selfie with a flower crown captioned, "My investor is so supportive." I emailed a cease and desist on the word investor and CC'd no one because the audience was my future sanity. Then the receipts got avant-garde. A $2,800 flower bath because the petals had to be ethically foraged, which I think means picked nicely. A $600 sound bath whose invoice literally described bowl-based clarity. An $1,100 rain insurance because the clouds looked threatening to storyline, which is meteorology by astrology. I called the bank and froze. Exposure to anything with the word bath, unless it included plumbing. The cultural authenticity fee hit next, paid to a guy named Kyle. I wrote, out loud at my desk, "Culture by Kyle." I asked for his business registration. He sent a JPEG of a wrist tattoo that said respect. I filed it under evidence. Farce. I kept the ledger obsessive and clean. Dates, amounts, vendor contacts, her captions cross-referenced with transactions. Green for paid by her. Yellow for pending. Read for absolutely not. I mapped the timeline against the loan terms like tracing paper over a crime scene. Every time she posted grateful, a new invoice arrived with fangs. Parents tried one more flank. "Sweetheart, she's under a lot of pressure," Mom whispered, like the debt might hear us. "I'm under a lot of math," I said. Dad suggested we pause interest for family. I suggested we read the contract for family. He sighed, the sound of a man who misses when disputes were about the aux cord. The sunrise shoot content finally went live. Her caption, unfiltered authenticity. I zoomed in and counted 3 ring lights in the reflection of her pupil. The comment section began to simmer. "Why is your candid tagged ad? How many takes does authenticity need? Who's paying for this?" I didn't answer. I just bookmarked every spicy comment and cross-filed it with the day's expenditures like a tax auditor with popcorn. I sent her another reminder, civil and sharp. Per Section 4, payments remain due on the 1st. No offsets for creative delays. She sent a voice note, "Babe, you're killing the vibe." I typed, "Vibes cannot cure principle." Then I added a final line to that email, "Please confirm receipt." She replied with a thumbs up emoji. I logged the emoji because I am who I am. And somewhere between the flower bath and the rain insurance, a feeling settled in. Not anger. Not yet. Just certainty. I wasn't the villain here. I was the ledger. And the ledger always balances eventually. Bali set piece number 1, the staged sunrise shoot. Call time 3:30 a.m. because authenticity apparently needs a head start. She posted a boomerang of headlamps and a caption that said, "Raw. Real. No filters." I could hear the ring lights charging. They took a van up a narrow road to a cliff everyone tags when they want to look like they do yoga for charity. The photographer's story showed a crew of exactly 2. Him and a drone he treats like a therapy hug. She arrived in a silk slip dress and hiking sandals, which is an outfit that answers the question, how would a gazelle handle gravel? The fixer, possibly Kyle's cousin in a different hat, handed her offerings to hold for the shot. She asked if they came in blush. The The Sun, being a hostile collaborator, was scheduled for 6:03. At 5:58, clouds rolled in like a union. "Okay, so here's the vibe," she said, positioning herself on a rock that looked allergic to bare skin. I laugh like nobody's watching, then I look over my shoulder like somebody is, but it's just the horizon. The photographer nodded like he'd seen God and God was wearing bronzer. "Take one." She laughed, slipped, grabbed a palm frond, and swore. "Candids," he yelled. Again. Take 2 through 15 were identical except for the screaming at the sun. "You are late," she informed the celestial body. "We have a schedule." The sun, rude, hid behind an especially thick cloud and sent wind in its place. Her hair did interpretive dance. "Can we get a wind blocker?" she asked the ocean. The drone took off with the confidence of a tech bro and immediately met a palm tree with the confidence of gravity. It stuck. The photographer stared up like a farmer watching his cow learn to climb. "Over time," he muttered to his story. She told him to expense it. I whispered to my coffee, "To whom?" She insisted on candids, which in her dialect meant 47 identical takes with microscopic variations. This time laugh with more hum. The photographer said, "More what?" She made a sound that lived between a sigh and a goat. Take 26 achieved the precise shoulder blade angle she believes unlocks virality. The wind applauded by trying to yeet her hair into the ocean. A local dog wandered into frame and sat on her dress. She squealed like cutlery in a blender. "No, baby, this is silk." The dog blinked. The photographer whispered, "Honestly, the dog's the shot." She hissed, "Crop him," as if cropping a dog makes him less alive. She did an impromptu journaling moment, writing the words grateful, aligned, rising in careful block letters, then held the notebook up like a diploma. The page was blank behind the words because who needs sentences when you have an aesthetic? Golden hour, the diva failed to RSVP. The sky went from bruise to steel. She pivoted. "Okay, reverse psychology. If we act like we don't need the sun, it'll show." She announced louder to God or management, "Whatever, we can fix in post." The sun declined to be nagged. Fixer for cloud dispersion. He offered a rain poncho. She tried to cry for texture. No tears. She dabbed her eyes with saline from the beauty kit, then looked fiercely into the mist. "That's it," the photographer breathed. Raw. She replied, "Caption, rain can't stop a sunrise," which is not how weather works, but certainly how captions do. The overtime conversation got real. The photographer tapped his watch. She tapped her heart. "Think about the art," she said. "Think about the invoice," he said. They compromised by doing both. More art, more invoice. She ordered a gratitude scream into the cliffside. The wind returned it as a squeal. She posted it, tagged it unfiltered, then spent 12 minutes choosing the filter that looked least like death. At 7:19, a sliver of pale gold slid under the cloud line like a reluctant apology. She gasped. "There she is." She yelled at the horizon like it owed her money. They shot 15 more candids, then did a slow walk toward camera with the kind of purposeful sway you only see in fragrance ads in courtrooms. She tripped, recovered, called it charming, and insisted they keep it. Authenticity, she explained, requires a scripted stumble. Back at the villa, she posted the carousel. Slide 1, her laughing into mist. Slide 2, the journaling close-up with the 3 words. Slide 3, a drone shot that could only have been captured before the palm tree incident. The caption, "Grateful vibes only." Nothing staged. Just me and the sun, chasing dreams. I read it while labeling the session non-essential expense, sunrise, and adjusting my tone in the next email from gentle to gelid. The comments started to simmer. "Didn't you fly first class to be unfiltered? Why is your journal pre-written?" I can hear the drone. She replied to one with a heart and women supporting women, which is a great way to dodge math. I bookmarked the thread, filed the overtime request, and added a note. Clouds do not accept exposure as payment. When her next post teased collab drama, with storm clouds behind her like symbolism got bored, I felt the timeline click. The weather wasn't the only thing about to turn. Bali set piece number 2, petty influencer drama. The collab was supposed to be exclusive, which is influencer 4. We invited everyone with a discount code. She teased it with a story: private villa, handshake emoji, 2 queens, 1 vision. I recognized the rival creator immediately. Tara, queen of beige lattes, and passive-aggressive affirmations. They hugged like hats wearing perfume. The guest list sold out at 12, then 16, then a few more for community. By the time they started, it looked like a tapas bar with ring lights. A brand rep stood in the corner, fielding DMs and regret. My sister gave a pep talk about authenticity while a makeup artist contoured her collarbone. Today we're talking collabs, she began, and how to lift each other up. Tara smiled, nodded, and immediately announced her own pop-up panel at the same time at the same villa on the opposite patio. Overflow, she said. The overflow chose her. My sister blinked twice like a doorbell. Tara accidentally copy-pasted my sister's run of show into her own captions, then added, but better. Someone asked about rates. Tara said, I never discount. My sister chirped, I never say never, which is a discount in a dress. The brand rep swallowed a cough. The Q&A spiraled into a salon of invented terms. What's your engagement optimization ritual? Do you cleanse your grid? How do you protect your aura from low vibration comments? A girl with a bucket hat whispered, same filter, different pose. My sister overheard and launched into a sermon about originality. Tara posted a story mid-sermon with the caption, be yourself, over a clip of my sister being herself. Then came the pose off. My sister demonstrated the flamingo, one leg bent, chin at a 37-degree angle, eyes soft but ambitious. Tara countered with the power tulip, elbows in, face open, brandyable. My sister said, you copied that from my Santorini series. Tara widened her eyes. I've never even been to Santorini. The room split like a divorce where both parties keep the friends. The whispers got sharp. She shadow banned me. She used my hashtag. She stole my preset. Someone pulled out analytics like tarot cards. Your saves are down. Your watch time's fake. My sister said, it's the algorithm, and Tara smiled with all her teeth. It's the audience. In the corner, the photographer checked his phone and discovered a miracle. My sister's follower count was spiking. She'd bought a block of bots mid-argument. Numbers up, comments dead. A dotted line shot skyward on Social Blade. The brand rep's eyebrows did, too. We need to talk, she said to no one and everyone. My sister called a reset. Let's go around and share our biggest challenge, Tara said, staying true to myself when others borrow. Everyone looked at my sister. My sister said, navigating jealousy. Everyone looked at Tara. A girl in a linen set asked if they'd ever been shadow banned for being too real. Tara said, no, my sister said constantly. The room exhaled like a laugh they didn't want to own. The photographer pulled me into a DM, which I read later like gossip. Rates tripled. Price is ours. You feel me? On cue, he sent an updated invoice titled Crisis Management Image Stabilization, which is just overtime with blush. I added it to the folder and highlighted it angry yellow. Back on the patio, my sister proposed a values shot. Everyone in neutral tones, holding compostable cups, gazing at a horizon of opportunity. Tara suggested a legacy shot, same thing, but she stands in the center. My sister moved to the center first. Tara accidentally stood a step ahead. The brand rep took both photos, then posted neither. A micro-scandal ignited at the Coconut Bar when 2 attendees compared captions and realized Tara's morning mantra and my sister's dawn devotion were synonyms with ring lights. Who copied who? Someone asked. Tara tapped her temple. My ideas come through. My sister tapped her heart. Mine come from. The bartender tapped the sign. Cash only. In a last-ditch flex, my sister announced a giveaway. 3 presets, 2 journals, 1 coaching call. Tara announced a scholarship for emerging voices, which was really 2 reposts and a pat on the head. The room clapped politely at both, then refreshed their notifications like they were waiting for God. The brand rep, who had been trying to justify a 6-figure villa invoice with buzz, went quiet after the bot spike. She did the PR math out loud. We can't sponsor manufactured growth. Tara nodded sagely. My sister said, It's strategy. The rep said, it's detectable. The photographer cornered my sister. We're at triple time. She waved him off with, think long term. He held up his phone. My landlord is short term. He sent me another invoice with crisis hours bolded and a note, holding line on creative boundaries. I filed it under theater, then took a breath that sounded like a bank vault closing. Parents. Chimed in from a continent away, on speaker in my pocket. She's under pressure, Mom said. This is how it works now, Dad added. I stared at the villa invoice that had just landed. 6 figures pending, card declined. Payment retry scheduled. My stomach went still. I texted my sister, we need to talk. She posted a boomerang of clinking coconuts instead. The brand rep ghosted. The villa sent a final reminder. The photographer added release of Ross upon payment to his email. And just like that, the drama stopped being petty and turned expensive. Bali set piece number 3, the absurd receipts crescendo. The receipts crescendoed like bad jazz. First, an itemized flower bath for $2,800 because, quote, petals must be ethically foraged and aesthetically curated. The invoice had mood boards for petals. I sat at my desk sipping coffee that cost $3 and highlighted the line labeled rose petal placement artistry like it personally offended my tax bracket. I logged it, personal. Then I added a note. Flowers are not labor if the labor is rearranging flowers for vibes. Next, a $600 sound bath, which is apparently bowls and humming. The description bragged about bowl-based clarity and sonic exfoliation. I asked the vendor to clarify deliverables. They replied, vibration. I replied, quantify it. Silence, then a new invoice for post-session integration. I filed it under music, but make it a bill. Then came the $1,100 rain insurance. The memo read, protection against meteorological storyline disruption. I called the number. A man with a soothing voice explained they partner with the elements. I said, so a refund if it rains? He said, a refund of expectations. I hung up and froze my card for any charge with the word weather unless followed by channel. A cultural authenticity fee hit my alerts, $1,200, paid to a guy named Kyle, who 2 days ago was sunset ceremony coordinator. I asked for his business license. He sent a selfie and a linen shirt and the caption honor. I asked for a receipt. He sent a handwritten note that said respect. I printed it strictly to feel paper in my hands. Evidence. Farce. Subfolder. Kyle. The photographer escalated. Payment overdue, his email saying, attaching a clause I'd already read twice. Ross released upon full balance. He threatened to drop an unflattering outtake unless paid. The screenshot he teased featured my sister squinting at a cloud like it insulted her eyebrows. I responded, per your contract, releasing without consent invites litigation. He backed up 1 inch, then added a late fee instead. I filed it and didn't blink. If he wanted to spar, I had fonts for that. My parents tried a soft entry. Mom called, voice sugared. Honey, she posted a story crying, people can be so mean. Dad muttered, art is vulnerable. I opened my folder and saw her teary selfie. Haters don't understand the work, she said, while soaking in the $1,200 flower tub that looked suspiciously like a salad for giants. I screenshot the story, the tub invoice, and the comments calling the tub Peak Delulu. Meanwhile, her content leaned into martyrdom. I'm carrying so much, she whispered over a pan flute. The next slide, a villa add-on for rainbow staging colored gels for a sunset because the real one dared to be neutral. $650. I filed it under the sky, but curated. Vendors pinged like popcorn. The villa's manager wrote, card declined. Kindly resolve within 24 hours to avoid escalation. The words avoid escalation read like a lullaby for debt. I forwarded it to her with the subject resolved today. She heart reacted, then posted, sometimes you have to invest before the return, over a clip of her tossing petals in the air like confetti. I added a note. We invested. There will be a return. Not the one you think. A career fee appeared. $204 emergency ceremonial fans because the aesthetic needed movement. I asked who ordered it. The fixer replied, she requested wind. I stared at the screen until comedy passed through irritation and came out dignified. I'd paid exactly nothing. Then the crescendo crested, a sacred content footprint fee from the villa, claiming her shoots altered the energy of the tile. 700. I wrote back, please define energy. They wrote, presence. I wrote, please define presence. They sent a photo of her standing. I froze all new vendor approvals until my next birth. She posted a long story, glitter tears, voice quivering. People are jealous. They don't see the 4 a.m. call times, the bruises on my shins. Someone commented, pay your crew. I bookmarked that. She said, I'm so grateful for my investor, and tagged me with a heart. I DM'd, do not call me your investor again. She replied, supporter? I replied with a PDF. My note, my lien, 3. Signatures, 2 dates, 1 truth. She left me on scene and pivoted to a montage of smoothies. By the time her return flight posted, Coach, interestingly, the paper trail could have passed a forensic audit. I had timelines, texts, voice notes, invoices, vendor responses, and her captions cross-stitched to dates like a courtroom quilt. I printed a binder that thudded when it landed on my dining table. It sounded like closure practicing. She flew home with souvenirs, a sunburn, and zero intention to repay. If intention were currency, she'd be solvent. At the airport pickup, she handed Mom a woven bag and me a coconut shell coaster. For your desk, she said. I smiled like a guillotine. I'll treasure it, I said, and meant it. It would make an excellent reminder. That night, I sent the final pre-default email. .com. Precise. Per our agreement, payment 1 is now 7 days past due. Grace period ends on date. Interest accrues daily. Please consider this a formal notice. I attached the amortization schedule again because repetition is a love language and mine is consequences. She viewed it. She posted a bath. The clock started to sing. Turning point, default day, and family showdown. Default day landed like a polite knock. No fireworks, just a calendar alert. Payment 1 due. Amount received, 0. I sent the late notice per Section 5, dry as toast. Subject, notice of late payment. Grace period begins. Body, dates, amounts, interest accrual, no editorial. She viewed it, then posted a smoothie with chia seeds that looked like they were judging me. I logged the view, the post, the gap between them. Math has a sense of humor if you squint. 3 days into the grace period, my parents summoned a family meeting, which is code for an ambush with snacks. Living room, throw pillows arranged like witnesses. Mom started with, sweetheart, can we talk about kindness? Dad added, this tension isn't good for anyone. The kind of vague that means, please fix it so we can stop Binky. My sister breezed in late, wearing a sweatshirt that said boss on boss in case the mirror forgot. I set my folder on the coffee table. It landed with the soft authority of paper that can end arguments. I'm here, I said, but this isn't a feelings conversation. It's a contract conversation. Mom winced like I'd said taxes at Christmas. My sister snorted. You wouldn't, she said, before I'd even laid out the options. You're not that petty. I smiled gently. This isn't petty. It's predictable. I walked them through the basics like a school field trip to Consequence Museum. I paid the original lender and took assignment of the lien. Here's the recorded assignment. I slid the stamped page across. No one reached for it. Here's the promissory note to me. Signatures, dates. Here's the repayment schedule. Here's the default clause. Here's the house's collateral, which, reminder, you pledged to the original lender before I ever showed up. Mom blinked. Dad nodded at the ceiling. My sister scrolled, eyes flicking like a metronome. You don't have to do this, Mom whispered. I don't have to, I agreed. I said I would if payment didn't arrive. My sister laughed, a sharp bell. This is performative. You want to look tough. I tapped the amortization schedule. I want my money back. She rolled her eyes. I'm building. You can't interrupt momentum. I'm interrupting delinquency, I said. Dad tried to mediate. Could we extend the grace period? We already did, I said. It's called a grace period. Families should read before they sign. I offered a final, boring mercy. Wire me a partial today. We can discuss a short extension for the balance, with a fee. I'll even waive the late notice cost if you send proof by end of day. My sister stared like I'd offered to buy her a sandwich with my bare hands. I don't negotiate with threats, she said. I don't negotiate with vibes, I said. I negotiate with numbers. She changed tactics. You just want my house. That one hit my ribs. I want my boundaries, I said. The house is collateral you chose. I'm enforcing what you signed. She scoffed, monster, because when people run out of facts, they go for monsters. Dad bristled. She's not a monster. Progress. Mom tried one last script. Think of all the times she supported you. I nodded. I am. Which is why I wrote it down. I slid a sheet forward. Notice of default ready to issue. This goes out at close of business if payment doesn't hit. My sister smirked. Close of business is fake. It's the internet. Banks still use clocks, I said. I sent the final warning in writing while they watched. Email to her, CC to myself, subject, final notice prior to default. Calm. Precise. For Section 6, failure to cure by date time will constitute default and trigger remedies including, but not limited to, foreclosure. She immediately subtweeted, imagine being so bitter you weaponize fine. Print against your own blood. I screenshotted that too, alongside 3 followers asking, didn't you weaponize her savings for Bali? My sister blocked them. She couldn't block the calendar. We sat in a silence filled with the hum of appliances and the weight of choices. Mom's eyes went glassy. We made you the parent, she said, and the confession hung there like a coat that never fit. I softened because truth deserves softness. You made me the accountant, I said. Different job, same receipts. The clock ran out. No payment, no partial, just a story of a bath and a quote about resilience. I opened my laptop. My sister watched like a show she didn't audition for. What are you doing? Filing to enforce the security interest, I said, like reciting a recipe. Clicks, forms, attachments, the note, the assignment, the notices. I e-signed with a name that didn't shake. No drama, just signatures. Dad tried a note of panic. Wait. Can we sleep on this? We already slept on this, I said. For months. Mom reached for my hand and found a pen instead. My sister folded her arms into a barricade. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, I said. But I'll pay my mortgage either way. I hit submit. A tidy confirmation popped up with a reference number that felt like a verdict in shorthand. My phone vibrated, automated acknowledgement, time-stamped. I closed the laptop and stood. I'll keep you updated on the statutory timelines, I told my parents. You'll get copies. My sister scoffed. You're not brave. You're boring. I smiled, finally relieved. Good. Boring wins in court. Then I picked up my folder, hugged my mother, shook my father's shoulder, nodded at my sister, and left before anyone could turn weeping into strategy. Outside, the evening light looked a lot like a sunrise that remembered its job. Enforcement, clean, legal, boring for them. Notice of default served. Certified mail, return receipt, polite as a librarian. I CC'd myself because future me loves documentation. The cure period started ticking like a metronome that only I could hear. She posted an affirmation about abundance finding me where I am, which, coincidentally, was not my bank account. Mom texted a string of praying hands. Dad sent a link to a mediation podcast. I replied with the statute's timeline like a bedtime story for adults who fear calendars. She didn't respond to the notice, but she did tag a brunch spot. I followed the rules like they pay dividends, because they do. Day 3, second notice. Courtesy copy by email and hard copy by certified mail again. She heart-reacted the email, then posted, "Energy vampires hate my boundaries." I screenshotted the heart, the caption, the timestamp. Boring? Yes. Effective? Also yes. The neighbor gossip lit up before she did. Saw a notice on the door. Is everything okay? We're here if you need anything. Also, is your sister single? I muted the thread and made tea. When people want to litigate via group chat, I file under entertainment and do nothing. My parents called, voices tinny and tired. We didn't expect this to be so official, Mom whispered. That's the thing about contracts, I said. They're official even when you wish they weren't. She made a Hail Mary play on day 5. A screenshot of a bank transfer pinged my phone. Sent. The numbers looked right. The font looked wrong. I called my bank. We see no incoming wire. I forwarded the screenshot to a friend in fraud who texted, "Girl, that's Canva." I breathed through the part of my chest that still hoped. Then I emailed her, neutral. Bank confirms no funds received. Please refrain from sending edited images. This is notice that query remains outstanding. She left me on red and posted, "Some people want to see you fail." I wanted to see her read. The cure period ended on a Wednesday that felt like a folded napkin. I walked the papers down like a pilgrim with loafers. Trustee selection, notice of sale preparation, publication schedule. The clerk loved me because I brought tabs. I love me because I bring tabs. I scheduled the sale per statute, gave the dates a halo of highlighter, and ordered certified letters to all the addresses that ever cared. Hers, mine, my parents, the old lender. Every T crossed, every I dotted, every sigh internal. My parents panicked in waves. What if we just bought you out? Dad offered, brave, broke. Then you would owe me, I said. And I'm tired of owing, he admitted. Progress looks like that. 2 people realizing the ledger isn't always money. Mom tried for a stay of execution via biscotti. Can't we wait a month? We waited months, I said. She waited for brunch reservations. Across town, she filmed a story from the front steps with the notice taped behind her like accidental set design. This is what happens when family doesn't support your dreams, she said. Comments split into 2 camps, Team Cry and Team Contract. Team Contract asked about repayment. Team Cry posted hearts, like sandbags. I didn't comment. I served documents. I kept refusing to fight in public. She tried to bait me with a subtweet. Some people think a signature is a soul. I let it drift into the indifferent sky. Meanwhile, the trustee confirmed the publication dates. The local paper ran the legal ad in the tiny font where fortunes announced themselves. I clipped it out and slid it into the folder with the care of a jeweler. It didn't sparkle. It didn't need to. She texted at midnight, all consonants. You can't actually do this. I replied at 9 a.m., business hours, per the recorded instruments I can. You're a monster, she wrote again, recycling. I'm a calendar, I typed, then deleted because I do occasionally practice restraint. I sent instead, you still have until the day before sale to cure in full. She posted a poll. Should I go live? The internet, ever generous, said yes. I notified the tenants that weren't, the HOA, the neighbor who always thinks he's the mayor. I posted nothing. Quiet is how consequences arrive. The night before the sale, Mom called, voice small. We raised you to be kind. You did, I said. And to be honest, this is both. She cried softly and didn't ask me to stop. That felt like the hinge. Day of sale, I dressed like a spreadsheet. Simple, clear, no sequins. The trustee's office smelled like paper and patience. A handful of bidders shuffled in, the kind of people who treat houses as chess pieces. I didn't make friends. I made a credit bid equal to the debt plus cost like the statute taught me to. The trustee read the numbers aloud. It sounded like rain. Externally, they called me a monster. Internally, I sorted feelings into labeled bins. Grief, relief, resolve. I thought of my mortgage, my insomnia, my parents' faces when they realized kindness sometimes signs its name with the notary. She posted one last video from the driveway, pray for me. Comments flooded with receipts from my file that someone had apparently saved. Empathy evaporated as facts marched in. I didn't gloat. I don't have the energy for victory laps. I refused every last-minute plea to do it another way. The other way, I had learned, was always my way, but with guilt. I signed where the trustee pointed, initialed where the law wanted ink, and watched the process carry itself like a river with banks. The sale concluded. The office printer spat out a confirmation like a bell. I walked outside into a sun that, for once, did not feel like an accusation. My phone buzzed with a dozen opinions I didn't ask for. I silenced it and drove home, past people who would never know that the most dramatic thing I did this year was be boring on purpose. Quiet, prepared, unshakable. That was the whole trick. And now, the locks would turn. Climax, the foreclosure, and the key exchange. The auction was as glamorous as a waiting room. A handful of bidders hovered, calculators in their eyes. The trustee read the legalese like bedtime poetry for attorneys. When it came time, I credit. Bid the debt plus costs, voice steady, pulse quiet. One half-hearted bid blinked and disappeared. The numbers landed, the gavel didn't slam so much as nod. House transferred to me. Just like that. No fireworks, just paper changing hands and the ground shifting under a family. Word outran me to her street. By the time I pulled up, neighbors were already lining their porches with pastries and opinions. She was on the lawn, pacing lines in the grass that looked like an SOS nobody intended to answer. My parents hovered near the hydrangeas, wringing a dish towel like it owed them rent. She saw me and went full broadcast. "You stole my house," she shouted, voice cracking on the vowel. I held up the folder. "I bought your debt. I enforced the lien. I followed the law you signed." She scoffed. "Semantics. Contracts," I said. "They're cousins." I stayed clinical because if I went tender, I'd drown. "Here," I said, handing her a moving checklist I'd drafted with the kindness of a robot. Utilities transfer instructions, change of address reminders, donation pickups, storage options. And this, I added, passing over a 30-day occupancy agreement with 0 tricks gives you a month to move, contingent on no damage and reasonable access for inspections. She snatched it like it might burn and skimmed without reading. "You're enjoying this," she accused. I shook my head. "I'm enduring it. Different sport." She pulled out her phone and went live. Of course. "Hey, guys," she began, tears calibrated, angle immaculate. "Today, my own sister, my blood took my home." The comments flew in, hearts and knives. I watched the feed reflect in her sunglasses as empathy spiked, then wobbled, then started to evaporate when screenshots began to surface. Her sunrise shoot invoice, the flower bath, the cultural authenticity fee to Kyle. Someone posted the legal notice I'd served, dates highlighted. Another pulled her subtweet about weaponizing fine print. A follower wrote, "Girl, she warned you." Hearts deflated into punctuation. She double-blinked and pivoted to lessons, but the room had turned. Mom stepped forward, eyes wet but clear. "Honey, sign the agreement," she said, voice newly practical. Dad nodded, squeezing my shoulder like a truce. My sister looked from them to me like we'd rehearsed a betrayal. I took a breath, kept my tone neutral. No surprises, no rent. 30 days. Leave it clean, hand over keys on schedule. If you want help finding a rental, I'll pay for a locator. She looked at the paper again, cheeks flushing in angry gradients, then signed with a quick, irritated flourish. I initialed, the trustee copy tucked into my folder like a final note. The locksmith arrived on day 30, right on time, smelling faintly of metal and judgment. He watched like he'd seen this episode before. I did a walkthrough of my checklist, kind and cold. The rooms looked smaller without her furniture and larger without her chaos. A single fake fiddle leaf fig leaned in a corner, dignified and dusty. I noted minor scuffs, a forgotten set of glam lights, a drawer full of crisis-shaped lip balms. She hovered with her live off, jaw tight. "You could have given me more time," she said, quieter than lawn volume. "You had months," I said, and my voice surprised me, soft, not sharp. And so did I. Neighbors pretended to water plants while clocking every box that came down the steps. One brought muffins, apologizing mid-crumb. Another whispered, "Proud of you." I ignored both. I don't accept praise for breathing. The locksmith changed the last cylinder with a delicate click that sounded like a violin clearing its throat. He handed me a small Ziploc of old keys like teeth I'd pulled. I thanked him. He nodded, eyes kind, like a man who knows locks keep out more than intruders. On the porch, my sister extended the key she still had, the one on a tassel that once matched her tote bag. For a second, the teenager she used to be flickered in her face, pissed, scared, stubborn. "I hate you," she said, "because some scripts survive every rewrite." "I don't," I said, "scripts survive every rewrite. But I'm done paying tuition for your lessons." She flinched like the truth was a pebble in her shoe. She handed me the key. It was warm. My parents asked to talk. Finally, without scripts, without app filters, without brunch. We sat on the stoop as movers strapped her curated furniture into a very uncurated truck. Mom took my hand. "We wanted to protect her," she said. "We made you do it." Dad nodded, face tired and free. "We're sorry." I believed them. "New rules," I said. "Documents or no money. No ambushes, no guilt coupons." They agreed, not with eagerness, but with the kind of relief that feels like surrendering a bag you weren't built to carry. Inside, the house exhaled. Sun pooled on the floor like it remembered how to be gentle. I set the keys on the counter, the metal cool against what I now owned by boredom and boundaries. My phone buzzed with arguments I didn't have to answer. I silenced it and opened a window. Air wandered in like a guest who finally knew where to stand. Resolution: parents switched sides. We met for coffee without theatrics. No brunch, no ambush, no laminated talking points. Just 3 mugs and the kind of silence that remembers everything. Mom stared at the phone like it might spell forgiveness. Dad toyed with a sugar packet until it surrendered. I slid the binder onto the table, dates tabbed, signatures flagged, the Bali circus preserved in color. "Walk me through it," Mom said, voice small but open. So I did. The wire confirmation to the original lender, the recorded lien assignment, the promissory note to me with her heart-dotted signature like confetti at a tax seminar, every friendly reminder email, the sunrise invoice, the flower bath, the rain insurance, cultural authenticity by Kyle, screenshots of her calling me her investor, followed by my cease and desist on the word investor, the default notice, cure period, the Canva wire screenshot, the certified letters, the publication dates. I didn't editorialize. I just turned pages. By page 6, Dad's shoulders had lowered an inch. By page 11, Mom exhaled like she found the floor. "We didn't read," she said, flat, honest. "We just wanted the problem to go away." "It didn't," I said gently. "It flew first class." Mom nodded, eyes skimming a vendor line item that read vibe maintenance. "We made you the parent," she said again, but this time it wasn't a plea, it was an admission. "We thought if you handled it, it would be handled without this." She gestured at the binder, the coffee, the invisible neighborhood whispering. Dad added, "We were unfair. To you. To her. To the idea that love replaces math." He sounded tired in a way that wasn't about sleep. "I don't want to punish her," I said. "I want to stop funding lessons she refused to learn." Mom traced the edge of a tab, then looked up. "You were right," she said, and the table got lighter. "We kept thinking kindness meant fixing it for her. It also meant letting you pay the bill for our denial." Dad swallowed. "We're sorry," he said, steady. "Not the kind that asks you to undoing. Not the kind that asks you to undoing. The kind that asks us to change." "Okay," I said, because I believe in receipts and also in redemption with paperwork. "New rules. She didn't perform a speech." I outlined a policy. "Financial topics require documents. No more group ambushes. If money leaves anyone's account, there's a written agreement and collateral that isn't vibes. Boundaries are not betrayal. They're seatbelts." Mom nodded. "Seatbelts," she repeated, like a word she could actually use. They offered to help her find a rental. "We'll do the calls. We'll take her to viewings. We'll put down the deposits," Dad said. I said yes, relieved to outsource both pity and Craigslist. We agreed on one more rule. If she asks for help, the first question is, show us the plan. Not the pitch deck with sunsets. The plan with dates and numbers that add. I showed them one last page. A simple ledger. Paid, owed, resolved. This is for us, I said. So we stopped telling stories about who sacrificed more and start writing down what happened. Mom smiled at the neatness as if it were mercy. I can do documents, she said. I can do documents. Dad chuckled. She's making it a mantra. I shrugged. Fine, as long as it's enforceable. Months became proof. The house went quiet in a way that sounded like healing. I replaced her ring light scorch mark with a plant that only needed water, not applause. I paid the property taxes on time and slept through a Thursday. My parents sent photos from apartment viewings, beige carpets, hopeful kitchens, the occasional aggressive backsplash. They never asked me to cover a deposit. I never offered. We kept each other honest by staying boring. One evening, Mom texted a photo of my sister's new place, small, sunlit, hers. She signed her own lease, Dad wrote, proud like a report card. With a cosigner? I asked. No, he replied. With a budget. I let myself smile. We set the family rules in a shared note, respect. Written agreements. No weaponized guilt. Holidays, potluck, not potluck plus payment plan. Birthdays, gifts within reason. Loans are not gifts. Group chat, logistics, dogs, memes, no finance without docs. Everyone tapped agree. It wasn't a ceremony. It was better. It was a system. On a Saturday morning, sun slid into my kitchen the way she once chased it across an ocean. Coffee steamed. The quiet felt earned. My phone buzzed, a message from her. I'm sorry. Just that. No pedals. No flute. I didn't reply right away. I let the apology sit where it belonged, in writing, with room to mature. Then I set my coconut shell coaster under my mug and, for the first time in a long time, enjoyed being the responsible one without also being the bailout. Aftermath, consequences, and growth. 3 months later, my algorithm served me my sister holding a mason jar and a humbler tone. Minimalist accountability, she said, deadpan. No drones. No pedals. A thrifted chair, one plant, and a rented ring light that looked embarrassed to be there. She talked budgets, not vibes. I thought boundaries were punishment, she said. Turns out they're rails. The comment section? Spicy but fair. Welcome to consequences, one said. We've got chairs. I watched the whole video and didn't need to lie down after. Growth is ridiculous until it's not. She texted me that afternoon. I'm sorry. No GIF, no punctuation fireworks. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. Apologies used to arrive as speeches and invoices. This one fit on a line. I archived it where my resentment used to live and answered the next day with thank you. Not absolution, not a dissertation, a receipt. The house, meanwhile, became a character that stopped interrupting. I painted over the glam light scorch with a primer called Whisper because of course it was. I replaced the tile she energized with tile that minds its business. I met the neighbors on my terms, which is to say with cookies and no explanations. You keeping it? The muffin lady asked. Yes, I said. Easy. And I'm keeping it boring. I listed the spare bedroom and rented the whole place to a middle school English teacher who whispered when she read. She brought a bookshelf and a kettle and an ancient cat named John Donne. Her references wrote essays. She pays on the first, sends pictures of the herb garden, and texts about leaky faucets with the politeness of a Valentine. I reduced the rent because peace should be affordable where I live. Best decision I've made that didn't require a notary. My parents stuck to the new rules like they were walking a dog we all love. No more ambushes, no more family emergencies with centerpieces. If my sister needed help, they asked for documents and forwarded me none of them. They took her to viewings, filled out forms, taught themselves how to say no without swallowing their tongues. Mom started a folder. Dad started reading contracts before he nodded. I threw a small parade in my head and didn't invite guilt. I practiced my new habits. No, faster. Yes, only with paperwork. I stopped explaining boundaries like they were delicate. I announced them like office hours. When a cousin tried to borrow for a startup that was actually a candle hobby, I sent a template: collateral, timeline, interest. He ghosted, then mailed me a candle labeled accountability. It smelled like lavender and surrender. My sister's content kept shifting toward reality. She filmed a grocery trip with a calculator and the humility of someone who met rent without mascara. I used to stage sunrises, she said, stalking beans. Now I schedule bill pay. A follower commented, boring wins in court. Another wrote, boring wins in life. I caught myself smiling at my phone in the produce aisle like a sap with kale. One evening, I found the coconut shell coaster she gave me, wedged behind a stack of property tax receipts. I rinsed it and set it on my desk. It's ugly, useful, and precisely the right kind of petty. A $50,000 reminder that pretty is not payment and love is not alone. My coffee sits on it like a punchline that learned to behave. I went outside that night and watched the actual sunrise the easy way, from my porch, in a hoodie, no witnesses. The sky did its job without me yelling. I breathed. I didn't have to earn the light. I just had to stop paying for someone else to chase it. She flew across the world to stage a sunrise. Mine shows up on time and pays the bills. It warms my coffee on that ridiculous coconut coaster, useful at last. If this made you laugh, wince, or text a sibling, subscribe and catch the next tale where a cousin tries to weaponize a baby shower registry. News stories weekly. Turn on notifications if you like receipts, consequences, and boring revenge that wins in court and signs in blue ink.